ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ವಿಶೇಷ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ನಾನು ಪ್ರತಿಮಾ ಭಟ್. ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಗುರಿ ಸಾಧಿಸಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಗುರು ಬೇಕು. ಆದರೆ ಈ ಜೀವನದ ಹಾದಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹಲವಾರು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಕಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂತಹ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಉತ್ತರ ಹುಡುಕುವಂತಹ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಜಗತ್ತಿನಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತಹ ಜನರ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಉತ್ತರಿಸ್ತಲೇ ಸಾಕ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಒಬ್ಬ ಗುರು, ಸದ್ಗುರು ಇಂದು ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಪದ್ಮವಿಭೂಷಣ ಸದ್ಗುರು ಜಗ್ಗಿ ವಾಸುದೇವ್ ಅವರು. ಬನ್ನಿ ಅವರನ್ನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತಿಸೋಣ. ಸದ್ಗುರು, ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ ತಮಗೆ. ಸದ್ಗುರು, ಬಹುಶಃ ಜನರ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು ಖಾಲಿ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ತಮ್ಮ ಉತ್ತರ ಖಾಲಿ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ.
ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಯಾವ ಉತ್ತರನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಜನರ ಹತ್ರ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. See, it's not that people have questions, nor I have answers. It is just that people have not opened up their vision to see life in its entirety. They're seeing it in parts. Because they're seeing it in parts, when they're seeing this, they don't know what is that. When they're seeing that, they don't know what is this. Essentially, I'm not I'm not spiritually read. I have not read any scriptures, I am not trained for anything. It's just that I always felt the most important thing is to become a full-fledged life. The purpose of life is life itself. It's not some other false purpose that you create. To become an exuberant life, if you look at these flowers, if you look at a bird, if you look at a tree, what are they trying to do? All of them are trying to be full-fledged life. That's the whole effort with the human being also. They may not realize that. So people say, I want to be this, I want to be that, I want to do this, do that. But essentially they believe if they do that, they will become full-fledged. They have got concepts and definitions of what is full-fledged. Somebody thinks this much money will make them full. Somebody thinks this much knowledge. Somebody thinks this much love or emotion will make it happen. Somebody thinks some other relationship will make it happen. Essentially, everybody is looking for a larger slice of life. But all human experience comes from within you. When it comes from within you, how difficult it is to transform this one human being the way you want. See, if you want to transform me, it's a challenge. If you want to transform yourself, what is the challenge? You are the only person there, where is the opposition? I'm saying an election without opposition, isn't it?
ಆದರೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಸದ್ಗುರು ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಪ್ರಮುಖವಾಗಿ ಹಲವಾರು ವಿಷಯಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಉತ್ತರನ ಕಂಡುಕೊಳ್ಳುವಂಥ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ತಮ್ಮೊಳಗೂ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ತಮ್ಮ ಜರ್ನಿನ ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಮೆಲುಕು ಹಾಕುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಬಹುಶಃ ನಮ್ಮ ಕನ್ನಡ ವೀಕ್ಷಕರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಅದನ್ನು ಇನ್ನಷ್ಟು ತಲುಪಿಸುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಆಶಯ ನಮ್ಮದು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಹಿಂತಿರುಗಿ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ಆ ಚಾಮುಂಡಿ ಬೆಟ್ಟದ ಮೇಲೆ ತಾವು ಬೈಕಲ್ಲಿ ರೈಡ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಂತು, ಆ ಒಂದು ಗುಡ್ಡದ ಮೇಲೆ ಕುಳಿತಾಗ ತಮಗೆ ಆದಂತಹ ಅನುಭವ, ಆ ಕ್ಷಣ ತಮ್ಗೆ ಈಗಲೂ ನೆನಪಿದೆಯಾ? ಏನಾಯಿತು ಆಗ? ಹೇಗೆ ಜಗದೀಶ್ ವಾಸುದೇವ್ ಜಗ್ಗಿ ಅಥವಾ ಸದ್ಗುರು ಆದಂಥದ್ದು ಅಥವಾ ಗುರು ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಆ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆಯನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಟಂಥದ್ದು ಏನಾಯಿತು? ಆ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಹೇಳೋದಾದರೆ.
ಸದ್ಗುರು ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನಾನು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಲ್ಲ. ಜನ See, essentially it's this. It's much before that. Very early on in my life, when I was 4-5 years of age, I realized I don't know anything. I don't know anything means I don't know anything at all. This is one important thing that people have forgotten. In yoga, we always encourage people to identify with their ignorance. See your knowledge. I'm sure you're a very knowledgeable young woman. Yes. How much ever you know, if you have read the libraries on the planet, still compared to this cosmos, it's minuscule, isn't it? It's very, very small. If you identify with that, you will become that small. But your ignorance is boundless.
ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲದ ವಿಚಾರಗಳು ಬಹಳ ಇದ್ದೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ.
So if you identify with your ignorance, you are a limitless possibility. So I identified with my ignorance, what I don't know. And it's been an express journey across the cosmos, simply expanding all the time, endlessly, because once you identify with your ignorance, you cannot allow your intelligence to sleep. Even if your body sleeps, intelligence will not sleep, because when you don't know, a human being cannot sleep. See, if I ask you to walk up and down this hall now, no problem, because it's lit, you will walk up and down. Suppose we make this pitch dark, suddenly you will become super alert, isn't it? If I ask you to walk, very alert. Every step you will be very, very alert. Why? Because you don't know where the next step is. So people have misunderstood this and they think knowledge is powerful. Yes, it is, but once you identify with your ignorance or once you realize that you do not know, well, it'll explode. Your intelligence will explode, your ability to know will explode. Do you know everything? No, there's no such thing as knowing everything. But if you have the necessary intensity, you can know anything that you wish. Will you have time and inclination to know everything? No, because this cosmos is too vast. Neither the religious people nor the people of science know where this cosmos begins, where it ends, isn't it? Nobody knows. So, whatever we know is still a minuscule.
ಬಟ್ ಈ ಜರ್ನಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ತಮಗೆ ಕಂಡಂತೆ ಸವಾಲುಗಳು ಯಾವ್ಯಾವುದು? ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಬಳಿ ಉತ್ತರಗಳನ್ನು ಕಂಡುಕೊಳ್ಳುವಂಥ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಆದರೆ ತಮಗೆ ಯಾವ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು ಕಾಡ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು ಆರಂಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ?
Oh, in the beginning, everything.
Okay. ಎಲ್ಲರಲ್ಲೂ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಹುಡುಕ್ತಿದ್ರು.
Everything. 1 billion questions floating around like a cloud around me all the time. Because I did not identify with the family very close, nor with the social situation, nor the political or economic situation. Everywhere I had millions of questions. Because I saw around me, everybody was going around as if they know everything, but when you probe and see, nobody knows anything. They have an assumption about everything. If you ask one more question, everything that they believe will collapse. Even today, everybody knows where God is, which direction is heaven, how to get there, everything, all details they know. You're looking up. I'm just saying a simple example.
Yeah.
Heaven means you're looking up. But is the planet round? Yeah. Is it spinning? Yeah. So if you look up, you're always looking up in the wrong direction. So I'm saying, even most fundamental things that people have assumed is only an assumption so that they can sleep well tonight. So whether you want to sleep in this life or you want to come awake is a question that every human being must address in their life. Do you want to sleep through this life or do you want to come awake? This is why in this culture, when somebody gets enlightened, we said he's awakened. Does it mean everybody else is sleeping? Yes, they are.
ಈಗ ಬಹುಶಃ ಒಂದು ಆಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮ ಗುರು ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ಒಬ್ಬರನ್ನ ನಾವು ಜನ ಗುರುತಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದಂತಹ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹುಶಃ ಹಲವಾರು ವಿಷಯಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಉತ್ತರ ಕಂಡುಕೊಳ್ಳೋ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಆದರೆ ಪರಿಸರದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕಾಳಜಿಯನ್ನು ತೋರುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಆ ವಿಚಾರವಾಗಿ ಜಾಗೃತಿಯನ್ನು ಮೂಡಿಸುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಇಂತಹದ್ದು ಆಲೋಚನೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಮೂಡಿದ್ದು ಯಾವಾಗ?
ಪರಿಸರ ಅನ್ನೋ ಶಬ್ದನೇ ಕೆಟ್ಟ ಶಬ್ದ ಇದು. ಹೌದು. Environment is a bad word. Environment is a deep ignorance. There is no environment. There is no you and environment. This is one happening. You are one small consequence of that. This flower is another consequence of that. Another life is another consequence of that. There is no such thing as environment and you. So human beings right now, unfortunately, are thinking, we are here and there is environment, let's save it. You can't do that. It is part of you. You are just an extension of that. If you experience this, it'll happen, I'll tell you. Almost nearly 28 years ago, when I realized that the green cover in certain parts of the country is very low, when I decided, let's activate this, I made a barefoot calculation and said, see, if we plant 114 million trees in the next 7 to 8 years' time, we will have 30% green cover in this region. Right now we had 16.5%. So when I said 114 million trees, everybody's eyeballs rolled. How can you plant 114 million trees? Then I asked them in that region, what is your population? They said 62 million. See, if all of us plant one tree, take care of it for 2 years and plant one more, it's a done thing. But we are not going to do that because we think it's somebody else's nonsense. Above all, you think it's environment, it's not you. So I did a simple process for thousands of people. You sit down with your eyes closed and breathe. What you exhale, the tree is inhaling. What the tree exhales, you are inhaling. I brought about such a living experience for people. Once they saw one part of their lungs is actually hanging up on the tree, it's a fact, isn't it? Once they realized this, now you can't stop them from planting trees. Millions of trees are being planted. Just this year, this calendar year, we've planted 1.3 crores, that is 13 million trees. And not afforestation, in farmers' lands, in private lands, so they will survive. And there is a subsidy for that now, fortunately. So they have to survive. If they don't survive, they won't get the subsidy. So, people have to experience that life is happening here as an inclusive phenomena, as one phenomena. We are one outcrop of that. We are not an individual existence by ourselves that we can talk about environment as if it's something foreign to us.
ನಮ್ಮೊಳಗೆ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಬಹುಶಃ ಅದು ಪ್ರಜ್ಞಾವಂತ ಪ್ರಪಂಚ, ಕಾನ್ಷಿಯಸ್ ಪ್ಲಾನೆಟ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಆ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆ ತಾವೇನು ಇಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ ಅದು ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತಾ? ಅಥವಾ ಈಗ ತಾವು ಮಣ್ಣು ಉಳಿಸಿ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಜಾಗೃತಿಯನ್ನು ಮೂಡಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ, ಆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ? ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಜನರ ಸ್ಪಂದನೆ ಏನಿದೆ, ಜನರ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆ ತಿಳಿದುಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗಿದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ?
ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಜನ ಮಹಾನುಭಾವರು ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಮೊದಲಿಂದ. ಅವರು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರೆ 10 ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಕೇಳಲ್ಲ. ಆ 10 ಜನದಲ್ಲಿ 5 ಜನ ಏನೋ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅದನ್ನ. This is the first time. This is the first time in the history of humanity we can sit here and talk to the entire world. When we have tools and technologies like this, if we don't create what we want, it shows we don't care enough. I don't want to be that person who did not care enough for life around me. So, is it possible? I'm telling you, just this soil movement, in 100 days, we touched 3.91 billion people. Now it's well over 4 billion people. Well, such a number, was it ever possible? Great beings have come, like Gautam Buddha has come, Krishna has come, Rama has come in their time. How many people did they touch? They could not, because there were no means. They had to go from village to village, village to village, putting out these ideas of whatever they thought is the best. It's only now, after thousands of years, now everybody knows about them. But still, it's too late now. People don't follow, they just remember them, largely. A few things they follow, but not wholly.
ಈಗ ನೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫಾಲೋವಿಂಗ್ ಸದ್ಗುರು, ಸಾರಿ ಟು ಇಂಟರಪ್ಟ್, ಬಹುಶಃ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋದು ಮತ್ತು ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಅಳವಡಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಬಹಳ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸ ಇದೆ. ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಅಳವಡಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂದಾಗ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ? ಯಾವ ವಿಷಯಗಳು ಅವರನ್ನು ತಲುಪ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ?
See, it is important how it's conveyed. When I say how it is conveyed, every generation needs a new way. They don't need a new truth, it's the same truth. But it needs to be expressed in the way they understand. Now, if you say something, the youth will say, "Oh, this is cool." They think I'm very cool. I keep telling them, no, I'm hot. Because I come from another generation, for the same things we used to say, we are hot. Now you say cool, all right. So in their mind, it has to… see, the purpose of communication is, if I speak to you, I must speak in a language that you understand. I will speak in Sanskrit language, you don't understand. But maybe you will feel overwhelmed, he's speaking something profound that I don't understand. That's no good. What is the point of speaking something that people don't understand? Today, the most incredible thing that I feel very blessed is, if I'm going on the streets, 8, 10, 12-year-old children, "Sadhguru, Sadhguru," they're screaming. I stop and say, "Hey, you idiots, how do you know me? We watch your videos." I said, "What? When I was 12, could anybody make me watch or listen to a spiritual talk? No way. But today they are listening. This is very important. Why they're listening? And today, I'm telling you, our average video views per year is over 2.5 billion. Now, will they all become completely yogis? No. This is the whole thing. When you have such an expectation, then you don't know what the world is. But if they implement… if you become 5% yogi, he becomes 10%, she becomes 20%, a small percentage will become full on. It's enough. Because the important thing is that all of us become little more conscious about what we are doing, how we are. We become little more conscious. I'm saying, if you're unconscious, how will you be? If you're little conscious, little life, fully conscious, you'll be fantastic, isn't it? Isn't it important? Isn't there an aspiration in every human being? They might have given up thinking it's not possible. Isn't there an aspiration in every human being? If possible, you would like to be a fantastic human being. Is it my idea, I'm asking? Is it my idea or is it intrinsically there in every human being? It's there in every human being. So what's being fantastic? If you can be exuberant and joyful and do anything that you do well, that would be their idea of fantastic. For this, I don't have teachings, I have tools. If you employ the tools, it is possible for every human being to live here as a full-fledged, fantastic human being.
ಇಂಟಾಲರೆನ್ಸ್, ಅಸಹಿಷ್ಣುತೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಇಂಥ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ. ಯಾಕೆ ಇಂತಹ ಮನಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಿ?
I don't think intolerance is going up. I'm sorry, I'm not making a comment about you or any media, but I think if only people are just living in the TV studio or just in front of the television, they think so. If you walk on the street, do you find intolerance? I travel all over the country, through the villages, all sorts of people. I don't see any intolerance, especially in rural India, they're fine. Economic differences are there which they're struggling with. Unfortunately, still we are not able to provide basic things for a whole lot of population. We are working for that, nation is working for that. But if you take 50 years, my life will be gone. This is the concern that they have. In that concern, sometimes they will behave in a little acidic way. We must understand what difficulties they are going through. I don't see any intolerance in the country. Here and there, politically motivated people are always trying to do that because that's a easy way. That's a easy way to make people fearful and stay with you and whatever nonsense. I think this must be destroyed by the media houses, that this idea that India is an intolerant country.
ಬಹುಶಃ ಈ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಗಮನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ, ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಈ ಥರದ ಮಾತುಕತೆಗಳು ಕೇಳಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಆ ಟೂಲ್ ತಾವು ಮಾತನಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಈಗ ಟೂಲ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾವನೆಗಳನ್ನು ತಿಳಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಥವಾ ಜನರನ್ನು ತಲುಪೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಇನ್ನರ್ ಎಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತುಡಿತ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಇಂಥ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹುಶಃ ಈ ಮಾಧ್ಯಮಗಳು, ಈ ಟೂಲ್ಗಳು, ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾಗಳು ಇವೇ ಅಂಥ ಸಂದೇಶಗಳನ್ನು ರವಾನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ಈ ಥರದೊಂದು ಅಸಹಿಷ್ಣುತೆ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಭಾವನೆ ಮೂಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ?
Social media is a tremendous possibility that now every citizen has a voice. But is it a responsible voice? Or is it a vested interest? Or is it a voice of ignorance? All these things are there. But I feel these tools are still new and people are little overwhelmed by this. But I feel in another 5–10 years, already it is coming. Lot of people are now mature enough, they know what's fake, what is real, you know. People are deciphering this very easily. There is a certain amount of confusion because certain people are doing organized campaigns about misinformation. These things will be there in every country because in trying to stifle that wrong information or fake information, do you want to take away the larger picture of free speech? No, let everybody speak. Slowly people will understand who is talking the truth, who is fake substance. I think wisdom will arise in the society, which already is happening. You talk to the youth and see, they just know which is fake, which is real, just like that. Sometimes when I see a video, sometimes I don't know whether it's fake or made. You show it to a young person, this is a fake, Sadhguru will say, just like that. They've figured it out. Everybody needs to figure it out.
ಬಟ್ ಈಗ ನಾವು ಗಮನಿಸ್ತೀವಿ ಸಿದ್ಧಾಂತಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತನಾಡಿದಾಗ ಲೆಫ್ಟು ರೈಟು ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಇಂತಹದ್ದು ಭಾರಿ ಕೇಳಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರತ್ತೆ. ಒಬ್ಬ ಯುವಜನತೆ ಇಂಥದ್ದೊಂದು ಸಿದ್ಧಾಂತ ಅನುಸರಿಸೋದು ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತಾ ತಮಗೆ?
See, all these luxuries are for people whose stomachs are full. Still, unfortunately, in this country, 300 to 400 million people are still malnourished and their stomachs are not full. Many people, children are going to school without being fed properly. Farmer is going to the field without being fed properly. Pregnant woman carrying another life, not properly nourished. You're producing a disaster by this. When this is the condition, I think everybody should keep their stupid philosophies aside and see, first of all, to see as a nation that at least we are well nourished. Other things are secondary. Every human being in this country must be well nourished. Is it possible to do that? Absolutely. Absolutely it's possible if all of us have a heart which is beating. If we Think, if my child goes to bed today without eating, what does it mean to me? How will I feel? If that much emotion is there within you, we can fix it in a very brief time.
ಆದರೆ ಈಗ ಇತ್ತೀಚೆಗೆ ದೇಶ ಜನರಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಂದುತ್ವದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಬಹಳ ವಿಪರೀತ ಅನ್ನೋಷ್ಟು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮಿಟಿಗಳು ನಾವು ಗಮನಿಸ್ತಾನೆ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಜನಸಾಮಾನ್ಯರ ನಡುವೆ ತಿಕ್ಕಾಟಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ತರಹದ ವಿಚಾರಗಳು ಕಾರಣ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಹಿಂದುತ್ವ ಅನ್ನೋ ಶಬ್ದದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ ಏನು ಅಂತ?
See, when you say Hindu, you must understand it's a geographical identity. Anybody who lives in this land between Himalayas and Indus-Sagara, this is Hindu. All sorts of people have lived here. In the same house, if 5 people are there, we are worshipping 5 different gods and we have no problem. So essentially a Hindu means an inclusive culture where we don't have absolute beliefs about anything. We are always seekers, exploring. We are people who are always questioning anything and everything. Even when so-called divine entities came, we only asked questions. I think this should not be just the way of the country, this should be the way of the world, whatever you want to call it. But this aspect that you leave your absolutism and willing to accept everybody as they are and willing to explore new possibilities, this is naturally coming in the world. Youth are already in that mode. In another 25–30 years, you will see this fundamental principle that nothing is absolute, everything is open to question, will begin to happen. This was the way of this land. If that is what people are branding as Hindutva, definitely that is needed. If you want to call it by some other name, call it by some other name. I think a liberal approach to life. When I say liberal, I'm not talking about people who are using liberal as an identity. I'm saying genuinely using the word liberal, that means how you are. I respect that. I don't expect you should be like me. This much everybody should come to. If everybody comes to this, then if that is what you call as Hindutva, because that is what the Hindu way of life always represented, that's why we bred so many religions here, all right? We bred so many religions here, and at any given time, nobody in any given house was even worshipping the same god. They were all worshipping different gods, celebrating different things. There was never an issue. We must create that country. Only if we create that country will we become a cultural leader of this world, because the whole world is looking for this. Right now, in United States, 32% of the population writes in all applications, no religion. 26% of the UK population is writing, no religion. This is the way forward. Everybody is going to be there, 80% of the population will be there in another 30 years' time. 80% of the population will say no religion. But will they be free of questions? Will they be free of the thirst to know? Will they be free from need to identify with something? No, those things will be there. Those things need to be addressed as it is relevant to the current generation and the future generations. That's what we are trying to bring about, that you don't have to belong to this or that, where there are absolute answers. There is no absolute to life. Life is an evolving process. Do you want to evolve or do you want to be stuck in your absolutism? This is the choice we have. Thank you.
ಈ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದೇ ತಮ್ಮ ಪೂರಕವಾಗಿ ನಾನು ಕೇಳುವಂಥದ್ದು ಧರ್ಮ, ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿ ಅಥವಾ ಇಲ್ಲಿನ ದೇಶದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇದೆಲ್ಲದರಿಂದ ವಿಮುಖರಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಅಂತ ಪೋಷಕರ ಆತಂಕ ಇದೆ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ತರಿಸ್ತೀರಿ, ಹೇಗೆ ಬಲ ತುಂಬ್ತೀರಿ ಅಂತ?
See, if our children are losing it, that means we have not set a good example. That's why I told you, as soon as I saw you, I said, look at the way you're dressed. I bow down to that because this is important. Right now, when the temperatures are 35 to 40 degrees, you wear a jacket and a tie and walk around, it doesn't make any sense to me. Why are you setting such an example? Because somewhere you think things that come from another culture are superior to who we are. Yes. No, that's not how it is. This is a relevant culture. This is a kind of culture which will be relevant after 1,000 years also, because it's an evolving culture. There is no absolutism.
ಸದ್ಗುರು, ಮೋಟಿವೇಶನ್ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ಗಳಿಂದ ಯುವಕ ಯುವತಿಯರ ಮನ ಗೆಲ್ಲೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯನಾ ಅಥವಾ ಪರಿವರ್ತನೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯನಾ? ಈ ಬಾರ್, ಪಬ್ ಈ ತರಹದ ವಿಚಾರಗಳಲ್ಲೇ ಯುವ ಜನಾಂಗ ಮುಳುಗಿರುವಾಗ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮೆಡಿಸಿನ್ ಯಾವುದು?
See, I must tell you this. This is more than one sentence. We have a program called Sadhana Pada. Sadhana Pada means from morning 5 o'clock to 10 in the night, their whole life is structured. Yoga sadhana goes on till 11 a.m., then they work in different fields, they volunteer in various aspects, in agriculture, media, this, that, work, so many things. 7 months, they stay with us full-time. People drop what they're doing for 7 months and come and stay there. This is only since 3 years we are running this program. This year, the number of applications that we got was over 19,000. Can you believe? Seven months, they have to live there and it's hard life, not easy life. We make sure it's hard, but 19,000 people apply. We don't have the infrastructure to accommodate 19,000 people. We have taken 1,300 people, 1,300 people we have taken, but actually 19,000 applied. It is expected next year the applications will be somewhere in the range of 40 to 50,000. So you think youth don't have the longing to do it? We have not provided the opportunity. Where is the opportunity? There is no opportunity to live a better life. So they go sit in the pub, what else will they do? Where their friends are, they will go there, isn't it?
ಈ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಿರೋದು ಹಿಂದುತ್ವನ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿನ?
ಇದೆರಡು, why do you think these two things are opposing? That's why I redefined what is this culture. This culture is about inclusiveness. This culture is, I never expect you to be like me. Is that part of development? 100%. Because development is not just building roads and factories. Development that you and me can live well without friction, isn't it?
ಈ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಧಾನಿ ಮೋದಿ ಅನಿವಾರ್ಯನಾ? ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಪ್ರಧಾನಿ ಮೋದಿ ಅಂಥವ್ರು ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ?
Well, it's not for me to decide, people have decided, I bow down to that.
ರೈಟಿಸ್ಟ್ಗಳಿಂದ ಮಾತ್ರ ಹಿಂದುತ್ವ ಉಳಿಯೋದಾ ಅಂತ?
See, this right wing, left wing is a silly idea. I am an aviator, I fly. I know both wings are needed to fly.
ಹಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ, ನೀವು ಎಡಪಂಥೀಯರೋ ಬಲಪಂಥೀಯರೋ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳೋಣ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ, ಬಹುಶಃ ಅದು ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೂ ಪಂಥಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತೀನಿ. ಸದ್ಗುರು ಯಾರು?
ಯಾರಿಲ್ಲ. I am not defined, because this is the most important thing. You don't define life by the activity that you do. When I'm dead, you can define. When I'm alive, I'm always a dynamic change. So if you define me today, tomorrow you will be wrong. So don't define me.
ಸದ್ಗುರು ರಾಕ್ ಸ್ಟಾರಾ ಮಠಾಧಿಪತಿಯ ಅಂತ?
Neither, because Matadipati means they are stuck to one kind of responsibility. Rock star means generally they are famous but they live a bad life. I am neither of those two. I live very well and I am doing what I feel is the most essential things in the world. I don't think I belong to either.
ಜಾತಿ, ಧರ್ಮ, ಹಣ ಯಾವುದು ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅಂತೀರಿ?
See, we're misunderstanding these things. I don't even see how these three things come on the same table, because caste as we know it today, we think it's a discrimination. At one time it was a social security. Differences between you and me, if we don't enjoy the differences, you're a different kind, I'm a different kind. That's why it's nice to sit here and talk. If you just looked exactly like me and talked exactly like me, I wouldn't sit and talk to you, all right? Will you? If I looked just like you and spoke just like you, would you talk to me? No. If there's one more person just like you, can you live in that house? No. So, we must understand this is a culture which celebrated our differences. Today we are turning our differences into discrimination process. If you're talking about caste as discrimination, that must go, there's no question about it. Whatever form of discrimination, it's caste, creed, gender, this, that nonsense, all discrimination should go, because you have a right to be who you are, I have a right to be who I am. So if that is how I would like to put caste as, at one time in the evolution of this society, caste was a way people learned their trades and crafts among themselves. Caste was a way of creating a safety net for people. That may not be relevant absolutely now, that relevance is going away rapidly and it's good. But at the same time, there is no social security in the country yet. It is when people get into trouble, where do they go? They'll go back to the same community that they know. So this needs to be looked at in a more mature way. Economy is not everything, but if economy is not good, what else will you do? If you don't have a living, will you meditate? Will you go to the temple? Will you do something? If you go to the temple also, you'll go for prasadam only, I'm saying. So economy is important. What is the other thing?
ಹಣ ಮುಖ್ಯನಾ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಪ್ರಮುಖವಾಗಿ
No, what is the other thing?
ಹಣದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಾವು ಮಾತನಾಡಿದ್ರಿ. ಬಹುಶಃ ನಂದು ರ್ಯಾಪಿಡ್, ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಜಾತಿ ಧರ್ಮ ಹಣ ತಾವು ಮೂರನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಿ ಅನ್ಕೋತೀನಿ. ಓಕೆ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಕೊನೆಯದಾಗಿ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ಒಂದು ಶಬ್ದದಲ್ಲಿ, ಒಂದು ವರ್ಡ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳೋದಾದ್ರೆ?
Man of the moment.
ರಾಹುಲ್ ಗಾಂಧಿ?
Well, he is opposition, he is trying to do what he is trying to do, he must succeed. Only then it will be good for people. It's important that there is… the country doesn't end up with just one option, it's important to have options. To make himself that option, I think he needs to work. I wish the best to everybody who is aspiring to change this nation for the better.
ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ
ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಹುಟ್ಟಬೇಕು ಕನ್ನಡ ನಾಡಿನಲ್ಲಿ.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸೋ ಮಚ್ ಸದ್ಗುರು.
Thank you.
ಇದು ಏಷ್ಯಾನೆಟ್ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತಿ.
ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಏಷ್ಯಾನೆಟ್ ಸುವರ್ಣ ನ್ಯೂಸ್.